What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Progressive Gentleman Podcast. I'm your host, Dan. I'm here with
Matt.
And we're actually joined by our wives today. We're going to be talking about a show we just recently attended, Coheed Cambria, the Window of the Waking Mind tour with Alkaline Trio and Mothica. We went to the Stage AE Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania show. It was my 20th time seeing them, my 8th VIP experience, because of course we're going to get the VIP. It's Coheed. But this was actually, Matt, this was your first experience.
Yeah, it was my first time seeing them despite having listened to them for like 20 years almost.
I was going to say, you actually listened to them before I did. Well, maybe not listened to them before I did, but liked them before I did.
Yeah. You probably heard them before, but you didn't like them at first.
Yeah, I think we had mutual friends that showed us, or that listened to it as well, that showed it to me, and I was like, what is this nonsense? But now I regret not finding them sooner. So I'd probably be much higher than 20 on my show list, but...
Yeah, I don't know how I've gone this long without seeing them, but it was great that...
I was actually surprised, yeah.
Yeah, it was great that my first one was the VIP, so that was pretty awesome.
Could have had... no, that's not fair to say. I was going to say, it would have been nicer if it was... like, for example, the prime first experience for you probably would have been when they toured with Between the Buried and Me and Russian Circles.
That would have been so awesome.
That would have been... That was back in Afterman days, but... I mean, they've had cool lineups with, they've toured with the Deer Hunter. They've toured with, no, that's not. I was going to say Leprous, but that was Between the Buried and Me that did that. That would be a cool tour.
That would be cool.
Tour with Leprous. But yeah, Stage AE, outdoors. I've seen Coheed maybe 4 or 5 times Stage AE outdoors. Every single time that I've seen them there, it's fucking rained. So
this time was no different.
Yeah, why break the trend? So of course we got poured on, but
pack your poncho.
But yeah, it is what it is. But yeah, Stage AE in general, I prefer typically the indoors, to be honest. The outdoors, maybe I'm biased because it literally rains on me every single time. I don't know, but the outdoors, it's not bad. It's a very up close to the stage concrete situation, followed by a bunch of grass sitting area. It seems like most people, well, I guess most shows that I've been to outdoors, they've sat in the grass and stuff.
Yeah, it's kind of like a double tiered, there's kind of a walkway that cuts in the middle between the kind of pit cement area and then the grass area. That's kind of more, I guess, chill. Most people were sitting and hanging out back there.
Bring your picnic blankets and enjoy the show.
Set up camp.
Yeah. But Colleen, I think this was your first time seeing them as well.
Yeah, it was. Matt and I were both Coheed. I'm so sorry.
Coheed and Cambria.
I'm so sorry. Coheed concert virgins. And I
they do sell masks at the merch booth. They were $95, so I wouldn't recommend buying one. But
that is insane. Yeah, and I did get very uncomfortably close to a few humans, and so I did put my mask on.
Just sticking with that COVID theme.
So gotta have that safety, but all joking aside, it was a great first experience to see a Coheed concert. Steph, I think you said it was maybe number 8?
No, it was 3. Yeah. I think 2 of them were VIP. This time was not VIP since I stayed back with you, but
I appreciate it.
Still had the black cards. You guys you could have got in early if they weren't so far behind.
You guys had sandwiches.
That's true. Yeah. You did get in early, but what sucks, one part of the show that was unfortunate for black card holders and probably some of the prize VIP holders was they played the early entry song before at least
half
a quarter.
I
was going to say at least a quarter of the line got in. So
yeah, there
was
kind of
unfortunate.
There were probably less than 100 people that saw them play the acoustic song.
Yeah, and we counted there were at least 56 people in that line for the Mage VIP.
And then the prize wrapped around the corner.
It was around the building. It was really difficult to just decide which line was the right line to be in because there were 3 separate lines. It made sense for us because there were only 50 people in our line. but the other
you could
lines
tell
were
because the
almost
people
like
in our line had posters and things.
Right,
You knew they were
yeah.
getting signed. So
but the other lines were like equal length almost. It was very confusing.
That's why I had to call you and say, which line are we supposed to be in?
Yeah, and I was like, I don't know the one that's actually going into the building. I had no clue, but because we even being inside, like we had no idea what was right, like where people were supposed to stand for the next.
yeah,
VIP.
they didn't label it at all. Like you would think that because they had the line roped off.
Yeah.
So you'd think they would have put like a little sign that says like prize here.
It's funny because they did.
Oh really? I didn't see
but
it.
it was so like it wasn't in an obvious place. It was one sheet of like printer paper and written on it was just like prize or VIP and black card or something like that. And it was just one. And with how many people were standing there, it was impossible to see that. I mean, people were walking up asking like, is this the right line? Is that the right line? Nobody knew what was going on. Fortunately for us, it didn't matter because we knew we were the first ones to get in. So it was like, we're in the right spot. But
Yeah.
Well, and the funny thing was that we eventually did get into the VIP line, and then when we got in, the people didn't check our black cards or anything. They were just like, go ahead, and I am a little bit bummed that we missed the acoustic song. I was looking forward to that, but as Matt mentioned, Steph and I did get sandwiches instead of seeing the VIP song, and they were really delicious, so that priorities.
Yeah, food is always a number one priority, especially you'd rather get some outside food than go in and buy a $10 cheeseburger, which I still did anyways because of just my general body, whatever. I need to eat, but still,
that cheeseburger did look pretty good though.
It was,
I had a bite. It was all right.
It was like middle school cafeteria level, so it's like as like a young
bite of nostalgia.
Yeah, a bite of that's a great way to put it. It was a bite of nostalgia.
But you
delicious.
should be jealous of our sandwiches because they were not $10 and also delicious, and we got fries on the side.
Oh yeah, well we had chicken McNuggets.
20 of them.
I ate 10.
Our sandwiches were still better.
Yeah, whatever. But anyway. So yeah, I mean that was unfortunate, kind of an unfortunate way to start for the black card and prize VIP holders, but we did Mage VIP. That experience was kind of cool. I mean, we've done other VIPs, I guess. Well, I guess you and I have done. This is only our second VIP together since we did the one with Darkest Hour.
Yeah.
This was my 8th VIP with Coheed, and it's pretty straightforward. They do it the same way every time. It's pretty much down to a science for them. You get in there, you line up, you walk right through. They're sitting at a table, sign your shit. Get back in line.
Yeah, it's like you go from you get the thing signed and then immediately enter another line. And I was kind of confused at first. I was like, what are we in a line for? It was like, oh, right, now we got to get the photo. It's like,
honestly, the best part of this VIP for me, because this I think is the first time this has happened, was that they had the merch booth inside, which Stage AE, whenever they do outside, the merch booth is normally outside. So Mothica's stuff was set up outside, but Coheed and Alkaline Trio stuff was set up inside, which is where the VIP line was. Usually, after you do the VIP, then they send you out and you get to go to the merch table.
Yeah, I think it made sense to have Coheed stuff in there because like people were buying stuff in a hurry, like before they got in the line to sign.
So that's why I'm pumped about it, because that's something that I wish they always did.
Yeah.
Because there's often something that they have there that I would love to get signed. For example, during this tour, what was his name?
Corey McGeehan?
Corey McGeehan.
I don't know.
Local-ish guy. I know he's from Pennsylvania, probably somewhere in the greater Pittsburgh area, I would assume, but designed a poster specific to this particular show on the tour. Lots of Pittsburgh themes in it, which is awesome. And it's just overall one of the cooler posters that I've seen for Coheed in general. And I think a lot of fans felt the same way because people were like, oh, somebody needs to buy that for me. I saw people offering like twice face value plus like $50 for your troubles. Like,
wow,
that's quite a payday for someone to just grab an extra poster. But but I thought it was really cool that I was able to then go buy that poster before meeting the band, so then I could get it signed and then have that little bit of extra coolness with the poster. So that part I really liked. I liked that we were able to also buy all the merch we wanted, because doing Mage VIP, at least at Stage AE, as long as you have your VIP pass, you can go to your car one time. So we were able to load up on all the merch we wanted, get all of our shit signed, and then take it all to the car.
Yeah, that was nice. Not have to hold that the whole show. That would have been pretty tough.
I spent more money probably than I want to admit. But I bought a hoodie and multiple shirts and a tank top and a poster and some pins and some other shit. I don't know, but
one of each, please.
I'll take the lot.
Yes, I'll take the lot. Give me one of everything in an extra large, unless it's a woman's cut, small or medium, depending on how my wife feels that day. So, but
or depending on how the shirt is made.
That too. That's important. That is important. But, yeah, I just, it was nice to be able to go back to the car. I kind of wish I would have bought more, to be honest. I should have got that tour vinyl.
The tour vinyl is pretty sweet.
Yeah, I should have got the tour vinyl.
The orange like cloud splatter look, it's really cool. I just spun it was it yesterday?
Yeah, I think we're on side C. It's a double LP, so we're still working on it, I think. But yeah, it's really cool looking. The artwork is awesome. The vinyl looks like, I don't know, like ice cream or something.
It's like it's a threefold too.
Creamsicle, yeah.
Yeah, that's the last two. The first Vaxis record was also in a trifold, and it's or gatefold, I guess is what it's actually called. But yeah, it makes it interesting for storing it, but just because there's no like actual like labeled edge, it just folds up into itself. So it's kind of like it folds in, and like whenever I'm looking right now at my records, and I can see like the names of the records on the side, but with the gatefolds you don't have that. It's just you just have to know that that's what it is.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that because we haven't even sorted it yet because we haven't listened to it all the way through. I mean, we've listened to the album all the way through just many times, but not that specific vinyl. So that's gonna be a challenge. We'll have to figure that one out.
Yeah, I actually
we alphabetize, so you just will know.
Yeah,
true.
Yeah, these days I just I kind of just listen to them those last 3 tracks whenever I go to listen to the record. So all I need is side C and D really. But not that I don't like the rest of the record, but that has the most replay value for me personally. But we're not here to talk about the record. We're here to talk about the show. So, anyway, so we finally get in. They do Our Love. That's the name of the song, right?
That was the acoustic song.
That was the acoustic song. Probably my least favorite song on the record. It seemed forced to me, that song. I feel like Claudio had a gun to his head to write a song for people to get married to, and that was what he came up with. Just kidding. That's probably rude to say. But yeah, I don't know. It's kind of one of the weaker tracks on the record. But yeah, so that was the early entry song. Sucks for half the people in line that missed it. I feel bad for them for sure. But that brings us to The Waiting, and then Mothica.
Yeah, Mothica being the opening act, and it's funny because I had never heard of her before, and then looked at her Spotify and was like, she has more Spotify listeners than Coheed or Alkaline Trio. And I was like, how is she the opener? And then I found out the other day that actually, I guess she's pretty popular on TikTok. Yeah. So that's what is getting her listeners.
I had to do a little bit of research because I was confused by that too. She got popular on TikTok. There's a couple of songs, I guess, that blew up as sounds on TikToks. Yeah. And then those songs get streamed a shit ton on Spotify, so your monthly listener count gets jacked way up. I mean, that's kind of like with honestly, Coheed's monthly listener count's probably also jacked way up because of how many playlists Welcome Home is in. So I mean, you got to take those numbers with a grain of salt. Mothica hasn't toured too much. Any tour that she's done has been pretty small venues. So this is kind of her biggest tour. Yeah. So it makes sense that she's kind of lowest build, where the more experienced bands that draw crowds like Coheed and Cambria does and Alkaline Trio does, it makes sense that they were higher build. But yeah, honestly, for me, Mothica, I listened to a couple of songs leading into it, and I got sort of like a darker Billie Eilish vibe. That's kind of what I got from that.
Yeah, and I know I made this comment like at the show that she's kind of like an angsty Taylor Swift, which also is kind of Billie
basically
Eilish.
Billie Eilish. Yeah, that makes sense. So,
Yeah.
And I love Billie Eilish. I think her music is fantastic. I own most of her records on vinyl, and I would love to go see her in concert too, to be honest. So
Yeah, I like her music too. So it's cool to have gotten that experience kind of.
I feel like a lot of metalheads feel the same way, whether they want to admit it or not too. Like that's kind of the sect of like pop music that I feel like is acceptable for metal heads to kind of gravitate towards a bit.
Yeah, I think because it has the like sort of angsty emo kind of stuff to it. So like it feeds into the like, the emo
Yeah.
in us.
For sure. And just knowing Billie Eilish's background and how they write songs and just the musicianship of it all, I feel like lends to like, prog is sort of the musician's genre, right? I feel like it gets said a lot that progressive music is like the musician's genre in the sense of like they do so much crazy shit with time signatures and all that stuff that like you almost have to be a musician to fully appreciate it. So seeing sort of the musicianship that goes into Billie Eilish's music, and then I would assume Mothica's music as well, since it has such a similar, like, it's almost based in rock while being pop, and there's just like a different writing style that goes into writing music like that I think sort of, that me personally, that's what I gravitate towards and why I tend to like stuff like that.
Yeah, that's me too. Like I appreciate music for, usually it's like the instrumentation first, and then like the more I listen to it, the more I like actually delve into the lyrics and the meaning behind the lyrics. But usually like the first thing that gets me is the musicianship, and I do like it kind of has that like rock, sometimes like crests into punk a little
bit, yeah. Especially with the live show. I feel like her music live, and going back, this is Mothica specific, had a lot more of like a punky, rocky type vibe to it with like the 3-piece band set,
Yeah, that's what I think particularly got me, was like there was no bassist, and it was like just a 3-piece band, was like, it gave me punk.
Yeah, and it was interesting to see her music sort of take on a different identity in a live format versus like the recorded format, which you can tell most of those instruments are programmed, so you get like a different feel in a live setting whenever you have a live band as opposed to just singing on a track.
Yeah.
But Steph, what'd you think of Mothica?
I really liked her. I hadn't heard of her before before she was in the lineup, and actually didn't even listen to any of her music until the show itself, and I really liked her. Since then, I've been listening to her a lot, actually, on Spotify. And actually, like, kind of based off what you were saying, like, I actually prefer her live compared to the recorded version, but still really enjoy the recorded versions as well. I think Forever 15, Buzzkill, and pretty much her whole, like, new Nocturnal album I really like. Just kind of the flow of that. It has a neat good flow to it. But yeah, even just like her as a human was so sweet. We all got photos with her. She was willing to sign anything anyone wanted to sign. It was really good.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think she was just, as a person, very engaging with the crowd too. The first thing they did was kick these like beach balls into the crowd to like wake everybody up, cool. And she was very into her music, very into performing. It seemed like she was in her own world a little bit, which it's kind of cool that, often openers don't get a whole lot of like attention, and I feel like she commanded it, and I appreciate that, especially whenever you're sort of the oddball, right? I mean, in a lineup with two rock bands that have been around since the early 2000s, probably when she was born. Like these guys were probably making music before she was born. So I don't know her age actually. So
She's 27. I creeped.
well, shit. Just kidding. She's not that young. She look super young though? Am I
What do you
wrong?
mean 27's not that young? What are you talking about?
Well, I mean, like I was thinking like 21.
No. But yeah, I really enjoyed her. I really enjoyed her a lot. I liked her music a lot, and I thought that I really liked her messaging, kind of as far as like even how she became, like how she named herself Mothica. She said the reason she named herself Mothica is because moths go towards the light, even when it's kind of to their detriment and they might hurt themselves going towards the light. And she kind of, I'm probably explaining it really badly, and she explained it much better, but she kind of does things like going towards the light, even if it's to her detriment. And she kind of tries as hard as she can to do different things, and kind of being a perfectionist where you try to do things to the best of your ability, even if it kind of hurts you in the process. And I think, I personally related to that a lot. And I feel like a lot of people probably can. And for her to kind of, say that in a live setting, and not only to have that be kind of her identity, but to also talk about it in her live show, I thought was really cool. The other thing that I really appreciated about her was that she talked a lot about her own journey and struggle with mental health. And being a person myself who struggles with a lot of different mental health issues, I felt like that was just really inspiring to kind of see how just vulnerable and open she was willing to be live on stage in a crowd of, in front of a crowd of how many hundreds of people, and kind of not be shy about that. And I think, that's so important to kind of be open about those things in a public space that way, to kind of open up that conversation about mental health. And for her to be, a person who's doing that in such a public way, I think is, really inspiring. And I've just, like Steph said, I've also been like listening to her music a lot, and kind of was looking through her Instagram, and she had a photo of her and a young child. I think that the kid was like 10 or 11. And
that was a really nice post.
Yeah. Yeah. It said something about how, that child was also struggling with mental health. And I don't remember the details of the post, Steph. I don't know if you do.
I think the young girl I think she was like 9 and almost 10 or something, and spoke to Mothica about how she personally was considering ending her own life. And it seemed like Mothica really was trying to say, mental health is important, and we need to, even in these young kids, because her one song, Forever 15, the lyrics is, they say you're too young to be this sad, and saying like, even somebody that young can have depression and, suicidal thoughts and things. So
yeah, sorry to kind of get really real on the podcast, but I just think that is so important, because mental health is something that so many people in this world struggle with, and we are getting so much more open with it, but it's still definitely stigmatized. So for someone to be able to talk about that in a public space and kind of sing about it and be open about it, I think is really inspiring. And she just seemed like such a cool person. I appreciate her taking a picture of me and Steph, even though we were kind of soggy from the rain. And yeah, I just really enjoy her music too. So definitely props to Mothica.
Yeah, she was just like a normal human and just wanted to connect with all of her fans, which was really cool.
Yeah, I enjoyed her music. I actually was the only one, I think, that didn't get a photo with her. Actually,
the only one in the whole building.
Drop the ball.
Missed opportunity.
Maybe, but yeah, but she seemed super cool, and like she seemed very genuine, and her music was a lot of fun to listen to. Like she had a good stage presence, and like you were saying earlier, Dan, like a lot of times the opener doesn't get a lot of attention, but I feel like everybody that was there was like eyes on the stage, paying attention. People were like bobbing their head and dancing, and then those like beach balls were being hit around, and
yeah, I feel like
it was a fun
between the beach balls and just like her trying to engage the crowd and stuff, like she sort of commanded attention. Where a lot of opening acts come out, do their thing, say like, all right, who's excited for Coheed? Who's excited for this? All right, we'll see you later. And then like that's it. Where she kind of came out and was asking questions and engaging the crowd and the whole beach ball thing, like, you know,
Yeah.
if you don't pay attention, you're gonna get hit in the face. So you gotta pay attention. Like,
You have no.
yeah, like it's I feel like she commanded attention, and I think that probably worked in her favor. I feel like she probably, you know, garnered some new fans. I'm sure there were some people that hated every second of it because Coheed has such like a wide array of fans, you know, because they have something for everyone in their discography. So they have a lot of pop leaning fans who probably really enjoyed Mothica.
Like Colleen and I.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Or they have a lot of like, you know, metalhead fans who are more into like the Welcome Home and the Willing Wells and the Ladders of Supremacy and like Dark Sentence or Gutter, stuff like that. You know, there are songs that are more garnered towards like prog fans, metal fans than pop fans, and those people who prefer that stuff may not have enjoyed themselves during Mothica's set, but I consider myself one of those people, and I thought it was great. I thought it was fine. You know, I it's not necessarily something I'm going to listen to all the time personally, but I don't listen to Billie Eilish all the time either, and I really like her music.
Yeah.
So I enjoyed Mothica's music. I definitely will listen to whatever new stuff she puts out and see kind of where she trends in her career, so to speak, because it's still super young into her career. So yeah, real intrigued to see where it goes. But shout out to Mothica. Thanks for being kind of real on stage and being open and available to all of the fans. I mean, it was she just had a line for him, and she sat at her merch booth and signed anything anybody wanted her to sign and took pictures with
including
everybody.
Inhalers and
yeah.
pizza crust.
Yeah,
Crust.
I literally saw a video of her signing the crust of a pizza. Yeah, like
That is impressive.
She said the next thing she's after is to sign someone's car.
Yeah, it was funny. She made a post. She's like, I signed 2 boobs, and someone was like, was it the same person's boobs? Like, was it 2 different boobs? Like
2 individual boobs
Yes.
or 2 sets of boobs?
Yes, exactly. These are the questions people want to know, Mothica. But anyways, so yeah, really cool experience. An engaging opener. Obviously, not necessarily something that Matt, you or I would probably normally gravitate towards, but it was all right. I enjoyed it, and
Yeah,
I think our wives.
The girls loved it.
I was gonna say our wives are now like #1 fans. So, but moving on. So after Mothica, it was supposed to be Dance Gavin Dance.
Yeah.
However, we all know what happened there. Their band got into some turmoil, and they were removed from the bill, and Alkaline Trio was added in their stay. And I mean,
the pause says it all.
I guess it does, because it's hard so they have an album, it's called The Crimson or something like that. It came out back in like 2004, and there was at least one song, maybe a couple songs that were on a couple video games and stuff. And back then I was into that record. Time to Waste in particular, that song. I remember seeing that music video on like MTV or Fuse or some shit and being like, this is heavy. What is this? It wasn't that heavy, but the intro to it like makes it sound like it's about to blow your freaking brains out, and then it's not. But for a kid in 2004, let's just like make that clear.
Temper expectations.
Right. So whenever I saw them replace Dance Gavin Dance, I felt like personally they should have went with like a prog metal band, or like a prog rock band, I guess. But like someone like the Contortionist, or like somewhere in that vein, like a similar vein to like Idola, or
Yeah, that would have been cool.
like
cool show to...
Era, or
I was rooting for an emo band like My Chemical Romance or something like that.
That would have been
Hawthorne Heights.
Hawthorne Heights went to a show. Did you guys see that?
No, what show?
They went to their North Carolina show.
I did see it on social media
because they were tweeting about it and stuff. They tweeted about like, when are the set? What does anybody know the set times? And then they tweeted and they were like, Coheed is like are the undisputed gods of like live rock music and stuff like that. Like they just so that's kind of cool. Speaking of Hawthorne Heights, again, I'm not like an emo, but like for all our emo fans, but anyways,
yeah, no shame.
But I felt like the fan base of Dance Gavin Dance who bought tickets would have been better served with a replacement more similar to Dance Gavin Dance, like Seder even, or Idola,
that
or
been
Royal Coda, or Hail the Sun. Or
Hail the Sun would have been. I've been so excited.
There's so many bands that I feel like would have fit better as a replacement. But they went with Alkaline Trio, which, I mean, bands already have touring stuff lined up, and whenever you're making a last-minute decision, you kind of are handcuffed. But anyways, I would have been more excited with probably just about anybody else. And that's rude to say because I did like Alkaline Trio, like, back in the, like, earlier to mid, like 2004 to, like, 2010. I would have been all for it.
I've actually, like... I've never listened to them. Like I knew of their existence. Like Alkaline Trio is like a pretty big name.
Yeah.
So I was not like unaware of their existence, but I had somehow managed to not listen to any of their songs. Like even the ones that you had told me that were like, oh, this was in a video game and I play a lot of video games. And I was still like, nope, no idea what this is.
Yeah.
And so I was kind of like, I went into it, like tried to be like open-minded. But when I listened to the stuff on Spotify, I was just kind of like, nothing's really grabbing me, and I don't know. It's kind of like it's just like rock punk kind of like straddles the line there. And like it's not bad by any means, but it like didn't really do anything to like keep me enthralled. And I mean, I know like the singer, he subbed in for
Blink-182.
Yeah, for Tom DeLonge. And like I read something online that like apparently Blink-182 recorded a new album and didn't even tell him, so he wasn't even aware, and now he's like not sure if he's still in Blink-182. So there's like a whole bunch of weird shit going on with that. But
I didn't know that they recorded a new album, but I did know that he is sort of on the fence of whether or not he's still in Blink-182, and I know Tom DeLonge has been sort of teasing about like he changed his Instagram bio, like makes music in Blink-182 and Angels and Airwaves. So I think Tom's coming back to Blink, but again, that's neither here nor there.
So I was honestly surprised, like with all of that going on, like it seemed weird to me to have like Alkaline Trio. It's like, well, is he in Blink-182? Is he not? Like, you know, they're recording, like, how is he able to do this tour and what's going on there? So I was kind of surprised about that part, but I mean, I think they put on an entertaining live show from
and there were
stuff that I watched, but
there was a surprising number of people there for Alkaline Trio, it seemed.
Yeah,
which
I was
that's cool. I mean, again, if that lineup happened in 2010, like if they were touring like in support of No World for Tomorrow and Alkaline Trio was support, like I wouldn't have even batted an eye at that lineup, like, and I probably would have enjoyed myself. I'm not a big Dance Gavin Dance fan. I think we've kind of established that on previous episodes. But I listened to their entire freaking discography leading up to this tour, like made it a point to listen to every single song that they've ever made. And I think that made me a little salty, like that I literally put all that time and effort to get prepared for this show and tour and whatever, and then fucking Alkaline Trio is there instead.
I just have to say this quote for those who don't know, which is probably most of the fans listening. I'm a huge Disney fan, and I just need to quote Buzz Lightyear here and say years of training and academy wasted. This must be how you feel right now, Dan.
That's exactly how I feel. That is exactly how I feel. That pretty much sums it up.
Yeah, that's quite an undertaking because
was
they have a
so
pretty
much.
deep
Oh.
discography. So, like, that's a lot to listen to.
I
And
listened to the instrumentals. Like, I listened to everything. Like,
Yeah.
it just, and then all that just for
and then
nothing.
Alkaline Trio took over.
But again, it was really cool for me to see them play Time to Waste, because that's probably the biggest Alkaline Trio song for me. Like I said, it sounds so heavy when it starts, even though it's not that heavy of a song. In 2004, it was heavy, but I did enjoy seeing that. There was nostalgia attached to that, but for the most part, I mean, I could have, I guess, done without that, like any of, I don't know, like it was good, it was fine, it was entertaining enough. I just had no, like, my excitement level was very low.
Yeah.
And that's my own fault, I guess, because I didn't listen to Alkaline Trio's entire goddamn discography leading up to it. So
You weren't gonna make that same mistake twice.
so I a lot of people had a good time. They were received well. I think there was even like a little bit of pit activity for them, which was, typically that doesn't even happen until the headlining band for a lot of shows like this, especially whenever it's not really mosh music.
Yeah.
But yeah, overall, Alkaline Trio, I mean, I went and got a picture with Mothica and ate a cheeseburger. But really enjoyed Time to Waste. And honestly, like, a lot of their music that I forgot, I know this song kind of stuff, but not enough to be like singing and bopping along with it. But, I was like, oh, I recognize this. So
Yeah, I definitely was like bobbing my head to some some songs, and like since I didn't know them, I wasn't like obviously singing along or anything, but it was they put on a good show and they were energetic, and I think it was fun. But yeah, I mean ultimately being predominantly a metalhead, and so like kind of hearing them where they were more just like pure in the rock, maybe like a little like cresting into the punk category,
Yeah.
was just kind of like
they're like
not
Crimson.
my-
Their Crimson record has, or again, I don't know if it's the Crimson, if it's just Crimson, if it's something Crimson, whatever. It's very much rooted in like punk.
I
Yeah.
remember asking you, I'm like, are they punk? I've heard they're
Yeah.
punk.
I
I've
was
never
like-
heard of them before.
Did you ask me that during the show?
Yes,
Didn't you?
I asked you and Matt.
Yeah. Yeah, they're definitely, they come up in like that vein, like that punk rock vein for sure. I would say a lot of their newer stuff is more in like that alt rock category, but I think they're rooted in punk, so that makes sense.
Yeah. And I figure with him being like taking the reins in Blink 182, it also like
Yeah.
lends to like, well, they're probably fans of Blink 182
Right.
and stuff, so that there's probably getting some influence from there.
For sure. Do you guys have anything to add on Alkaline Trio? I just don't want to silence your voices.
No, I mean, I don't really have a whole lot to say about them. I mean, I wouldn't say that I disliked them, but I also
I think during the show you said I'd give them a solid C minus.
Like just middle of the road. All right.
I was trying to not bring that up, Steph. That's okay.
Exposed.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't.
Still passing.
Yeah, they
true.
passed. I mean, just barely, but they did. They did. They could still, they weren't held back in fifth grade or anything. But yeah, I mean, I think honestly, I was just so. I was really kind of swept away, I guess I'll say, by Mothica when she played, and I kind of like listened to her a little bit before the show, and when she played just kind of like immediately was like, oh my gosh, I love her. And then when Alkaline Trio was playing the whole time, I was just like, okay, where's Coheed? So I kind of feel like I didn't really give them a fair shot, whereas maybe if they were playing in like a different venue at a different time, then I might have kind of paid more attention and maybe given them a C plus. Who knows?
We were still coming down from that high of Mothica.
Yes, I still am. Still trying to come down. But yeah, they were just kind of okay in my book.
I think that's fair, but I think we should get to the band that actually gave everybody the high that they were looking for, and that's Coheed Cambria. I absolutely love the way that they opened the show, by the way. I just like
Yeah.
the fact that they opened with Dark Sentencer is just, and this isn't going to be a spoiler because most of the people listening to this, I feel like the tour is probably going to be over by then. There's not a lot of shows left.
Yeah, I don't think there's tons
but
left.
regardless, spoiler alert if you haven't seen it. Well, I guess the spoiler alert. There will be more spoilers. You already know Dark Sentencer was the open. Anyway.
Go back about 10 seconds.
Rewind, pretend you didn't hear this.
So the fact that they opened with Dark Sentencer is just sweet. That song is honestly probably the closest song. No, Ladders of Supremacy, but they didn't play that. But Ladders of Supremacy is the closest song to like my prog metal heart. But Dark Sentencer is up there too. And then from Dark Sentencer into the Gutter, which like they're two proggiest songs off of the first Vaxis record, they open the show with those.
Yeah, it was
like,
quite right out of the gates.
Awesome,
it was just
to me.
like balls to the wall, ready to get everyone pumped up.
I was so ready for that shit. And then it's strange that they do like the prologue into Dark Sentencer, and then essentially the prologue of the new Vaxis record, which is Embers of Fire, right into Beautiful Losers. So it's like the way both Vaxis records open, they essentially opened twice.
It was kind of weird that they had both openers, but I think because they both sample the same song, that like it makes sense, and it was just kind of like an interlude and leads into the next one.
Yeah, you had all kinds of Old Flames samples without them playing Old Flames.
yeah, they actually didn't play Old Flames, but they played it twice.
Because they closed their main set before their encore with Windows of the Waking Mind, which also samples Old Flames. So. So yeah, they have multiple tracks that sample Old Flames. They did not play Old Flames. Beautiful Losers, one of my favorite songs off the new record. That's not the last three tracks, because the last three tracks stand alone in my opinion. They're like tier A, and then Beautiful Losers is like tier B, and then everything else is somewhere else. But that's not to say that the rest of the record isn't good, because this, in my opinion, is their best record since Good Apollo 1. But yeah, those last three kind of stand on their own. They played Windows of the Waking Mind, and did they play Rise?
Yeah.
So they played Rise. So the only track that they didn't play of their epic last three tracks on that record was Ladders, which is by far the best song.
So, I love that song so much.
Dude, honestly, the more I listen to it, the more it like bumps up my list, which is it's so hard to put it ahead of songs like In Keeping Secrets or any of the Willingwells. But honestly, it's essentially like a Willingwell track. Like it's like if any of the Willingwells and songs like Dark Sentencer had like a love child. It's so good, but they didn't play it live, and this is about the show, so let's talk about the show. I'm sorry.
If you didn't notice, Dan gets easily distracted when talking about Coheed.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah, that's why our Coheed episode was like 3 hours long. So sorry about that, by the way.
Literally 3 hours.
Yeah, literally. It was like 2.5. Like that's.
Steph and I just sat downstairs and drank sangria while they recorded a podcast for 3 hours.
We got drunk.
Yeah, fun story. So the day we recorded that episode, another tangent, but whatever. The day we recorded that episode, we were having like a cookout / like, fire just kind of situation, just like a hangout session at our house. And so me and Matt are like, oh, we're going to go upstairs and record this. Like, and Steph and Colleen were downstairs. Steph made like sangria or something.
Colleen did.
Or Colleen,
excuse
sorry.
me,
I'm
made
so
the
sorry.
Sangria.
I apologize. And I think we came down, and 3 hours later, they were both hammered. So
they were both squinty-eyed. And
yeah, we took so long recording that episode that we got down there. They thought we abandoned them, and they just got drunk by themselves.
What else are we supposed to do?
I guess that's fair. But yeah, so that was fun. That day actually was a lot of fun. But anyways. So we're going to do that again, except they're actually on the podcast, so they can't get hammered. Or actually, they're getting hammered right now. You just don't see it.
Pod sauce.
But yeah, so that's a fun little side story. But anyway, so they played mostly Vaxis tracks at this show. I mean, I would say over 50% of the set list was Vaxis 1 or Vaxis 2. I mean, they played... I mean, the intro, the prologue plus Dark Sentencer plus the Gutter. They played Disappearing Act. They played Blood. They played
Nyanasha, they played Shoulders.
Nyanasha. They played Shoulders. They played Liars Club. They played Windows of the Waking Mind. So literally, like most of like at least half of the set list was Vaxis stuff, but they sprinkled in some classics. They played Everything Evil, which was cool.
Yeah.
That's the only second stage track they played, but they played it.
Yeah. That was the only one from. And then they did In Keeping Secrets.
Yep. And
it was Blood Red Summer.
They played Blood Red Summer. They played Favor House. They played The Suffering. They played Welcome Home. Obviously, they close with that pretty much every show. That's their go-to.
Yeah.
Typically, if they don't close with that, they'll still encore with it and then close with like the final cut or something like that, which is also cool.
That would be cool.
Yeah, honestly, I think what songs did they play that weren't on either the first 3 records or the last 2?
They had No World for Tomorrow.
Didn't they play one?
They didn't play No World for Tomorrow. Oh, you meant like they played a song from No World for Tomorrow. They didn't play No World for Tomorrow.
Yeah, no, it was the Running Free.
They played the Running
from
Free.
Nowhere.
Yeah.
Didn't they play an Afterman song?
They didn't play any Afterman songs. They played Ghost off of Color Before the Sun, which was kind of cool. Yeah. They had like a little jam sesh after it, which was kind of neat.
That was pretty cool.
They because Ghost is a very short, like acoustic, chill song. And they kind of did like a little jam band sesh afterwards.
They turned that song into, it was probably like a 5 or 6 minute.
Yeah.
Between the song and then like the jamming afterwards. It was pretty cool.
Yeah. But it was a nice mix, I guess, of like some of their older stuff in sort of this other 50% of the songs. So it was a nice mix. I would have liked to have seen some Afterman tracks.
That would have been.
I would have liked to have seen like Domino or Century or Gravity's Union, something like that, like peppered in with the songs, like the songs they opened with how like opening with Dark Sentencer and Gutter and playing Rise and playing Windows of the Waking Mind and Welcome Home and In Keeping Secrets. It just would have been so epic if they would have, like, instead of Running Free, play like Gravity's Union.
My kind of like theory behind their set list was that they picked the songs not knowing what the reception for the new album would be. And since they wanted to play songs from it, they tried to like start it off with stuff that they know people love and end it with stuff they know people love and then pepper in the new stuff. But like also, if you didn't like it, it'd be like, oh, there's like 2 songs. And then we play something old. And then we go back to the new album. So that they were kind of like, if you didn't like it,
your spirits are down, bring you back up.
Yeah. It was like enough to keep you like,
that makes sense.
Give you the highs every so often in the middle. I mean, I was excited the whole time, but I know some people I've seen like in the Children of the Fence Facebook group that some people aren't as excited about the new album as I am. And so maybe they would not have enjoyed it as much, but I love it. So
honestly, I've been
go away.
This, like I said, this was this was my 20th show, and I've seen multiple shows where they were touring in support of a new record that they just released. I've been the Afterman release show whenever they toured with Between the Buried and Me. When they released Vaxis I, they toured with Mastodon and Every Time I Die. And honestly, this is the most like new songs I've seen them play in a tour ever. Like they played like 6 or 7 songs off of Vaxis II. Like that's a lot.
Yeah, it was a surprising number. Like I don't think I realized how many there were until we actually were watching them play. Yeah. And I was like, oh, it's another one and another one. And it just like kept going up. I'm like, did they play the whole album except for Ladders?
Except for Ladders, except for the one song we really wanted to. I mean, it was really cool to see them play Windows of the Waking Mind. And the way I was curious to see how they would how they would play that live. It's such a long song and it's such a like, It's very proggy, and there's different changes and stuff. It was cool to see because it opens as like acoustic, and then it goes to electric. So Claudio had his acoustic guitar mounted on like a stand.
Yeah.
And he had his electric on his back, and he played the acoustic part, and then they took the acoustic part away, and he pulled his electric out to play like the rest of the song, which was cool. The only other person I've ever seen do that is Tosin Abasi.
Jason Richardson has done it. I saw like a video a couple weeks ago actually on Instagram that he had.
Is he touring his new record?
Yeah, I think so. I think him and Luke Holland.
Him and Luke Holland.
Touring. Yeah.
I saw whenever they toured the first record, posters on the wall.
Nice.
But
yeah, I saw a video that Luke Holland, they did like a rock, paper, scissors thing with one of the other bands, and whoever lost had to wear flip flops to play.
Oh.
And he lost, so he had to play drums in flip flops.
That's rough. But yeah, they put on a great show. But yeah, so that the only other person I've ever seen do that was Tosin Abasi. And yeah, I thought that was really cool. Obviously, they end up closing with Welcome Home, but they threw The Suffering in as an encore too. So they played both of those tracks back to back.
Yeah, it's the first show I've ever seen where they had 2 encores. So
yeah,
that was cool.
I've been to a couple where the band will come out and like play 3 songs. Well, no, wait, that's not true. We just went to Darkest Hour. They played 3 songs.
Oh yeah, I guess yeah.
Yeah.
But did they even?
How soon they forget.
But they didn't like. I guess they did leave the stage.
Yeah, and they needed to play 3 songs probably because they were playing they played Deliver Us in its entirety, so they needed to change it up a little bit and play something else.
Yeah.
They need to give you a bigger sample size. But yeah, overall, honestly, this show for me, you know, probably somewhere in the middle as far as just memorable Coheed shows. Since I've been to 20, obviously I have more. It's higher up than it would be because I got to go with all of you guys.
Oh
yeah, and it's cool. It's cool that like you guys that was your first experience, and like I haven't been able to feel that way in so long for Coheed because I've seen them so many.
You're riding
times.
Our high,
right?
Like watching a kid on Christmas.
It is. Like I was enjoying like seeing you guys have a good time, and I mean it was cool to see a lot of the new songs too, and the fact that they opened with Dark Sensor, and I love that song, and The Gutter is both of those songs are like top 20 Coheed songs for me. So. And Keeping Secrets, obviously, but they play that every show, I feel like. But it was cool to go to the pit for that, right?
That was a lot of fun.
Until we got smashed into a wall.
Yeah.
And almost thrown up on.
It's funny because we went into the pit and you guys had the worst time.
We went to the pit and you guys got like annihilated, and we came out scotch free, and you guys are like, we need to leave. Like,
yeah, we got pinned up against the wall, and that's when I had to put my mask on because I was like, I don't really know what to do in this situation, so I'm just gonna put my mask on and hope for the best.
And this man started literally charging towards us with like the puke face, like he was like dry heaving, and I can't. It makes me nauseous thinking of it.
Wouldn't it be funny if it was the dude we like kicked out of the pit? Oh yeah, I got punched in the pit. As soon as I walk in, I get punched. This girl punches me and tells me to fuck off or something, and I'm like, well, I just got here. Like, and so apparently her man was like belligerent in the pit.
Yeah,
and
then
they were
people,
throwing
like,
him
threw
out.
him out. Yeah,
and we were just coming in, so you know we had nothing to do with this.
Yeah, you were in the wrong place at the wrong time, so you got slugged.
I got punched in the shoulder for no reason. At least it wasn't the face. I mean, this is the moneymaker. So
yeah.
That's what I'm saying. You guys are too old to mosh. It's
Listen,
over.
we had a great time.
Yeah, that was fun.
I don't know about being
awesome.
too old for certain mosh pits, not too old for a Coheed mosh pit.
Yeah, we could still handle
It's
the
like
Coheed
50% hugs, 25% rainbows, and then like 25% moshing.
You guys are just in there with your walkers like, oh, this is a great time.
And I guarantee you when we're walker age, if Coheed is still alive and performing, there will be at least 40 other people with their walkers in that pit with us.
We'll all be holding our walkers up when they say, man your own, Jack Henry.
Yeah, man your own walker. Yep. But seriously, I hope they tour forever. I hope they're like.
And then Atlas can just take over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When Claudio's too
Claudio
old.
will sit in a chair, play guitar. Atlas can take vocals.
I'd love that.
No pressure, Atlas.
Yeah, no pressure. No, we're not going to force you into showbiz. You know, I feel like with a name like Atlas Hendricks Sanchez, you probably have to do something in music, but you don't have to, but you probably should.
We won't force you, but actually we will.
He's already got more music, like more credits on tracks than we do, right? He's on Embers of Fire. That's probably got like almost 1 million streams on Spotify at this point. He's killing it.
Yeah,
More than a lot of bands that we listen to can say.
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
So good for him. He's going to be like a little platinum artist before he's even got a band. But yeah, again, overall, somewhere in the middle, probably just because the support. Well, I mean, whenever you've seen Coheed with bands like The Deer Hunter or Mastodon or Every Time I Die or Between the Buried and Me, Russian Circles.
Mothica.
Thank you, scientist. You know, it's tough to kind of compete with a lineup like Coheed, BT Bam, Russian Circles. So Mothica. But it was nice that people in this group discovered Mothica, and for me personally, I did enjoy that as well. So that's, you know, I'll definitely listen to whatever she puts out moving forward. But overall, very cool show. Had a great time. Great friends. Great music. You know, can't beat that.
Yeah, it was a good time. I could have done with maybe changing up that Alkaline Trio to a more similar band, but overall,
I'm trying not to shit on Alkaline Trio too much because it's not like they're a bad band.
Well, yeah, I'm not saying just not my cup of tea.
Yeah, and when you have a certain expectation for a tour and then like that gets subbed in last second, and that as if they're like that piece of shit, but no, but like when that type of change is made, you know, it's tough to sort of get excited for it. And again, our Time to Waste was sweet. So, overall,
yeah, not saying I hated them or anything. Just I hadn't listened to them much before. Like I don't have that like nostalgia factor with them or anything. So to me, it was like a band I've never really listened to and not really what I normally listen to. So it just didn't like hit home with me. But it wasn't bad by any means. And like they put on an enjoyable show. It's just like you said, I would have enjoyed if like a Russian Circles or something instead. Just because that is my jam.
And I just think they would have done better to their ticket holders who bought tickets to see Dance Gavin Dance to sub in a band
more similar. Yeah.
That's my only knock. But they were fine live. Time to Waste was sick. There was my nostalgia, and that's about it. So, yeah. Overall, if you caught a show on this tour, let us know what you thought. Did you also fall in love with Mothica like our wives did? You know, what did you think of Alkaline Trio? Were you excited about that change? Who would you have rather seen in that spot? Like a Hail the Sun or an Idola, a Royal Coda, you know, a band more similar. But yeah, I mean, overall, good show. Let us know what you thought if you saw it or if you're going to see it. Again, I think the tour's wrapping pretty soon.
Yeah, I think there's only like 4 or 5 maybe stops left.
But I mean, it is early August. I'm hoping for like a fall winter announcement for a tour as well, and maybe something a little different. So we'll see what we get. But yeah, I mean, that's about all I got. You guys have anything else you want to say to the fine people listening to us here? Anybody?
I just have to say this was my favorite Coheed show I've ever seen.
One of one.
One of one, yeah.
There you go. What about you, Steph? What's your favorite Coheed show that you've ever seen since you're up to, this is your third?
I think my first this other Stage 8 one where it rained also.
Yeah. That was with Taking Back Sunday.
That was Taking Back Sunday.
Oh,
so that had
sounds...
more of the emo like vibe, which I liked.
Yeah, Taking Back Sunday and The Story So Far.
Oh damn, that's a pretty solid lineup.
That sounds like a good lineup.
But I also enjoyed the one we went to North Carolina for because we actually were front stage like.
Yeah, we were on the rail.
I wasn't getting shoved, which was nice then.
Yeah, we went to Asheville.
And we did all the breweries then, so I'm like thinking about all that.
That trip was
great.
Fun.
Yeah. I don't know.
So it's probably third. It's third out of it's 3 out of 3. That makes sense.
No.
But like
they're all number one,
the company
for different
was
reasons.
the company was a little bit, but yeah, they all have their own.
Just a little bit better.
Every Coheed show is 1A, 1B, 1C until you run out of letters of the alphabet. So.
And then 1, 2, 1, 3.
In all seriousness, though, I do really enjoy the new album a lot, and I know this might be an unpopular opinion, at least within this room, but
don't say it.
I'm gonna say it. It's my favorite album that they've put out.
all of her opinions, all of her everything she said is now completely invalidated to everybody listening. No, I'm just kidding.
If the listeners didn't already know, Dan is very mean.
No.
But no,
Disregard. Windows of the Waking Mind is
we'll
her
edit
number
that
one
in post.
album, yeah.
But no, I obviously really enjoy the new album a lot. So I really appreciated the fact that they played so many songs from that. And, you know, just with it being my first ever Coheed show, they certainly did not disappoint. And, you know, I wish that we could have gotten to see the acoustic song, but, you know, the sandwiches were a good backup. So, you know, all good.
For sure, yeah. And this was their biggest theatrical performance, I feel like, that they've ever put on. Seeing them 20 times, this is like high up there. So you got to see a good one. But just as far as stage presence and effects and shit, there was so much stuff going
theatrical.
on. Yeah, really.
Pyrotechnics.
They had like an inflatable shit going on.
skull thing.
Like stuff was real. Stuff was getting real. But
all the screens with
and I've seen them use those to a degree before, but never to the level that they did. It was
they had like a movie playing in the background.
Yeah, so they're definitely getting a lot more I don't know, theatrical, for lack of a better term, but
Yeah, I really like the inflatable thing. I want to like put that in my yard for Halloween. Like, can we buy that at Home Depot with the other inflatable things? That was really cool.
If they ever auction it off, you'll have to fight with one of the Devons. And if either of you are listening, I'm sure everybody understands that one of you will end up with it. So we get it. It's not even worth trying. But anyways, I think that's it for this episode, guys. Before it turns into another 2-hour Coheed episode, I think we should probably wrap it. But thank you so much, Colleen and Steph, for jumping on with us and for going to the show with us and putting up with us and living with us and dealing with our bullshit. So, and thanks to all of you for listening again. Like, subscribe, rate, all that fun stuff, and keep an eye out. I think we're going to do another Hidden Gems soon. So be on the lookout for that. And then whatever else we come up with, if you guys have any suggestions, ideas, whatever for episodes in the future, feel free to reach out to us. And thanks for listening.
Yeah, thanks.